Hello, let's look at how to grow vegetables in an ornamental garden. I'm Zorab and this is Byther Farm. This border is about 18 months old and in it is predominantly flowers until you look closely. When I first created this border I thought I might put in some stakes all the way along it and wires across it and grow espalier trees along to hide the polytunnel. But I very quickly realised I didn't need to hide it because everything growing on that side of the garden was doing that job for me. So when I put this bed in, rather than leaving it empty, I put potatoes in it. So it's 4 feet wide, 24 feet long, and last year it had potatoes in it. And as I harvested the potatoes, literally every time I lifted one of the plants, I planted in some sort of flower. So these are all herbaceous perennial flowers and leaves, and it looks very pretty. And I decided, rather than wait for all these herbaceous plants to really fill out the bed, this year I'm filling the gaps with leaves and flowers that were edible. So I thought I'd talk you through some of the plants in this border to give you some ideas of things that you might be able to do in your garden. This splendid, this tall, almost tree-like plant is red orich. Now it's an annual and you can see it is just starting to go to seed and it spreads itself all around the garden, and I'm very happy that it does that. It's easy to weed out when the plants are small, so you don't end up with too many of these very stately plants. This one had flopped over in the wind, so I've driven a stake into the ground here. It's an old piece of pole from a trampoline, children's trampoline, and just secured this upright with some string. And it does look, for all intents and purposes, like a tree, but it'll be gone by the end of the year, having sown its seeds everywhere. But right now I'm very pleased with it. When it's this size and gone to seed, I find the leaves very bitter. I actually find them incredibly strong all the time, but the very young leaves can be used in a salad or eaten like a spinach. At the front here there's some red Russian kale and also some purple sprouting broccoli. So these are perennial flowers. This beautiful orange Echinacea, absolutely love it. And these leaves are kale. So it's a red Russian kale, has this lovely purple veining down the centre of the leaf, and against the orange of the flowers, it's just wonderful. I love how much they contrast each other and how bright the Echinacea looks against the dark kale, and how rich the kale looks when next to the Echinacea. And right across this bed I have combined edibles and flowers. Some are herbs, like this beautiful dill. I've harvested lots of the leaves and now the flowers are going to seed, which is very nice. We'll take that one off, having just bent it, and leave it down there. So there are herbs, there are flowers, there are vegetables. And here's that dill. I really like it's light and feathery, so it adds height without being a solid lump, and I really like that quality in a border. It allows me to add height and shape and structure without casting too much shadow on the plants below. At the front of the border are heucheras and sedums, ornamentals, and another of the red Russian kale here. And then over here, as I think this little butterfly is demonstrating very nicely, are some more brassicas. So these are more purple sprouting broccoli. I'm really pleased with how the colours here are working really well. I have just spotted a caterpillar friend just there. I'm sure there's lots of them. These are one of my sacrifice plants. So what I do is I grow my brassicas under netting. All the ones I want to eat are under netting, and I plant some other brassicas out in the open to support the butterfly population, even if those are cabbage white butterflies, because those butterflies then support birds, bats and hedgehogs in their diet, and I want to encourage all of those things into the garden. So this lovely almost silvery foliage of the purple sprouting broccoli has toned really well with this pink Echinacea and these pinky purple Achilles, almost by accident. I would like to say it's by design, but it wasn't. It was just fortuitous, but the colours go really nicely. And then further down here is some more purple sprouting broccoli. I did have some potatoes growing in here. I've harvested those now. And then the one other thing that I've got in this border, which I think has worked really well. This lovely globe of flowers is an allium. It had creamy white flowers with the slightest hint of mauve to them. It's been really gorgeous. So it's been quite a big ball of flowers. It's just going over now, and all of these are beginning to turn to seed. It's given some really good height and structure, and in fact there's been quite a lot of them along this border. And these are elephant garlic. So a member of the leek family, and you can harvest the bulbs and use those just like you would garlic. It's got a very, very mild taste, and each clove is enormous. And I've let them go to flower, and they produce this wonderful ornamental statement flower high above everything else in the border. They've been really eye-catching. I'm going to dig the bulb up, separate it into cloves and plant them right across this bed because I want lots more of these next year. In this raised bed I've got a climbing rose behind me, and that's the Gertrude Jekyll, and it's going up and over the arch. And to make this bed as attractive and productive as possible, I've got a mixture again here of ornamentals but also edibles. So at the end, this is an Asturian tree cabbage. It's a perennial cabbage, a short-lived perennial. My last ones went for 3 years before they went to seed, which I'm very pleased that they carried on for that long. And they don't form a head like a cabbage would ordinarily. They carry on producing leaves off the stem, and you just harvest the leaves as you need them. Next to that, I've got some rhubarb. So this is Timperley early, and I've finished harvesting that for the year now, and I will just leave that and allow the leaves to die back naturally and to feed that crown, so that next year hopefully it will produce even more. And then I've got some dahlias. So these are little grown from seed last year. So I wasn't expecting them to come back up. I thought they'd get nipped by the frost and would die off. But I'm very pleased to say they have happily made them through the winter, which I'm delighted about. So there's a yellow one here and a pink one there. This is, and I can't remember its name, so I will put it up on the screen. It's a wildflower. It's really pretty. And I'm keeping it here because pollinators love it. Wasps absolutely love it. Pollinators love it. And I've just seen, I don't know whether that's our robin or another bird just come out from in the border and flown across there. I planted this last year with mostly edibles, and some of those are edible flowers, and some of them are plants that we traditionally think of as ornamentals, but they are actually edible too. Now I'm going to tell you I haven't tried most of them yet, but I will do at some point. Before I get any further, I just want to show you what I've done in the corners of some of these raised beds. And I've put strips of wood along the corners on the diagonal and screwed them in place just to make them perfect sitting down and resting size. So actually I can sit on here and reach into this bed to weed it, or I can just sit and enjoy the space without having to bring a chair out. This year this bed has a lot more self-sown plants in it, but there is some more Asturian tree cabbage, some of the dill, and then over here there is some sage, and it just smells wonderful, and at the front there is some thyme, but mostly this has got self-sown borage in it, both the white variety and the blue. And the flowers can be used in salads or frozen in ice cubes and put into drinks. Over here is a daylily or two. Now with some daylilies, with some varieties, some parts of them can be eaten, and I'm not expert enough to be absolutely sure about that. So if you're interested in eating daylilies, please really do your homework on that. And the other thing is there is some Solomon seal in here. Now, it's not much to look at this time of year, so I'm going to show you what it looked like when it was in full flower. It's a really attractive plant, but earlier in the year, when the shoots first come up, they can be cut and used just as asparagus spears can be. So it's like a poor man's asparagus. Again, it's a perennial, just as asparagus is, and I haven't tried it as yet, maybe next year. We can grow so many plants that were originally introduced as ornamentals. So runner beans, which came to the UK as an ornamental climber. And not surprisingly, because the flowers are absolutely beautiful, whether you have the white form like I do, or the scarlet, or anywhere in between. It's a really, really lovely plant, and you could very simply have a tower of beans growing in an ornamental garden. The flowers justify them being there, and then you get the bonus of being able to pick the beans as they mature. In the archway here I've got roses. Now I know that you can use rose petals in the kitchen and for beauty products. I grow roses for their hips. And then over this side, scrambling up on this side of the archway, is a vine, a grapevine. And the leaves are attractive, its growth is attractive. It can be a bit scruffy unless you train it up something. And even then, they can misbehave. But homegrown grapes are absolutely lovely. And then as you can see, I've got pots of purely ornamental flowers, and these are to help support pollinators, to bring them into the garden so that there are even more pollinators to pollinate the flowers of the beans and the other plants like the courgettes and cucumbers and everything else we grow that needs to be pollinated. And in this area I'm using Oca, spelled OCA. It's a little tuber from the Andes. Now, we've grown for 4 years here now. The first year we really liked them. The second year we weren't sure. The third year we roasted some of the tubers, and I really didn't like them roasted. So I am now growing them as ground cover. They grow really nicely. They look a bit like a clover. So they've got that very heart-shaped leaf in 3 parts, and they just smother all the weeds out, so they're great. Potentially they're edible if you like them, and if not, they're wonderful ground cover. And then I also grow calendula. This self-seeds everywhere, and I also scatter the seeds everywhere because I use the petals in salads. And also, if you dry the petals, they can be used as an alternative to saffron. And they don't give your food the same taste as saffron would, but it's quite similar. And then I have things like chives, and rosemary and lots of other herbs, so as I'm walking through I can pick the herbs as I'm going. I also have a dedicated herb bed very near the kitchen, but I do like having them around the garden too. And nestled in this border there is some more rhubarb. This isn't planted in the ground, this is in a very large tub. So I can move it about, I can make sure that it's got plenty of water, but it was filling a gap because this border looked quite empty there and I wanted it to look a bit more full, so I've popped a tub in there. And I'm quite happy to grow things in tubs and move them around the garden as I'm focusing on one area, or I want one particular area to shine. I will move things around. I've got a Fatsia Japonica here, also growing in a pot. Behind me though, this is Angelica, and I've loved having this Angelica here. It grows, it's a really tall. It had flowered, so I cut it back hard because I'd let it go to seed and collected some of the seeds and sown them all through this bed. I hadn't expected this to survive. I'd expected it to die right back. Well, it's springing back again and hopefully that will now go for another year. Over here there are more kales and also I've planted a couple of courgettes in this border as well. I really like those big large leaves and the splash of colour when we get a yellow courgette growing. It's really nice. There's a couple more plants that I really think are worth considering for your ornamental garden. One is chard with these beautiful stems, and they come in yellows and oranges and deep reds, pink and white and green. There's a whole range of colours. You get these lovely luscious leaves and then the wonderful coloured stems as well. And the other thing I want to mention is nasturtiums, which I've got growing in the pathways even here. Nasturtiums are absolutely wonderful plants to have. Pretty much all of it is edible. You can eat the leaves in salads. I find them too peppery. They've got a particular nasturtium smell, and I think they kind of taste of that too, if that makes sense. The flowers are edible, so they can go into salads, and the seeds can be pickled and used as an alternative to capers. When you're making something like tartar sauce that has capers in it, and these will work very well as an alternative. I think there's something really quite magical about lettuces growing together, and it occurred to me when I was walking through the garden the other day how nice these would make as a bedding display. Where you might plant bedding, you could put in a selection of different types of lettuces, perhaps alternating red and green lettuces. They would just make a lovely display. And my last suggestion for plants to use in your ornamental garden that are also edible is Perilla. It's a wonderfully aromatic leaf. You use it in cooking in a whole load of dishes. I think it's also called shisu. I can't remember which way round to say it, but it is absolutely lovely. And it comes in quite a bright limey green version, or this beautiful deep reddy purple version. What a wonderful contrast that would be if you're growing it with something orange near it. What a great contrast. I love it. And if you'd like to find out what inspired me to create these borders, and indeed how I did that, you can now pre-order my first book called Grounded. It's due out in the spring, and I'll leave a link in the information on the screen and in the video description below. And so, wherever you are in the world and whatever you've got planned for today, I hope it's a good one. And I also hope you'll join me again next time.